looks like we tricked you. We set out exam tests and you're actually writing an exam. It's not sure what that is. I'm just kidding. Okay. By law, obviously, we have to run through the school budget every year, and it's the parents, according to the Schools Act, it's the parents that need to approve the budget. So we as the governing body, we've been involved in assisting prepare it. So the school finance team has prepared it, and the governing body has reviewed it to present to the parents. So we'll go through in high level what the details are. Okay, just showing the full picture there. I'm going to just run through everything, then you guys, you can just save any questions you might have until the end. So as we go through each of the slides, just remember what you want to ask, and then we can address it at the end between Colin and myself. Okay, so a nice slogan we put there, saying, used correctly, a budget doesn't restrict you, it empowers you. So it's actually vital for the school in terms of what the strategy is, or envisaged to be, that the budget speaks to that, and then we can carry out whatever improvements are necessary for the benefit of the kids and the whole school community. So that is what is kept in mind when we're preparing this. Okay, so the budget is more than just a series of numbers on a page, it is an embodiment of values. Okay, so the first item is we have to, as parents, we have to prove that school fees can be charged, and that has to be re-agreed each year. I assume that everyone here has agreed to that. If we say that there are no school fees, it puts the school in a very difficult situation. You won't have enough teachers, you won't have enough resources. It's not a viable situation. So if there's no objections, I assume everyone here is in agreement that we approve that. Okay. The next part is approval of 38A remuneration. So that is basically where the governing body gives extra pay for certain items to government teachers. So the teachers at the school, some of them are employed by the government, some of them are employed by the governing body of the school. The Schools Act requires that if the governing body is going to pay the government teachers, that there has to be this Article 38A submission, and that must be approved by the parents. There is some detail later in the slideshow as to what is covered under that. It's not major items, it's not additional salaries, it's just reimbursing for certain things. Okay, so overall for our budget for 2026, the school fees budget consists of an income of about 13.3 million. That's after the sliding scales, foster children, discount, and bad debt was taken into consideration. So after all of those have been taken off, we left with budgeted to be left with 13.3 million. So there's obviously assumptions in that with relation to bad debts, etc. The school obviously takes all steps necessary to recover all the debt that it can. We also have additional income in the school that will bring the total income to about 14.3 million, and the expenditure is a total of just over 15 million, and about 51.5% of that is allocated to salaries. The average, we're a member of FEDSIS, which is an organisation for school governing bodies, and they distribute guidance on the budgets, and they did an analysis across many schools and what the norms are. And the average is that a school like ours would pay about 58 to 59% of their budget in salaries. Ours is sitting at 51.5%. Okay, this is just a breakdown of the income. So you can see total income 14.3 million, as said before. You can see the school fees that are mentioned. The government pays 310,000 of that, so really quite minor in comparison to the overall budget. And then there's other income of 674,000. Overall, this is just a pie chart showing the breakdown of the various expenses. So I'll leave that up just for a minute. I'll speak through it, but you can have a look and see where most of it is going. So obviously the biggest part of the pie is the salaries, as I've mentioned, 51.5%. If we look at some of the other bigger items, property expenses relating to the grounds, 7.9% at 1.2 million. We've got admin expenses sitting at 1.26 million. Just want to look through here. The printing and photocopies, so that's agreements with the printers, the copies that we've got, and obviously the printing costs, 607,000. I'm not going to go through all of the others. I think I've highlighted the main ones. So you can have a look there. If there's any questions on any detail of any of those, just keep that in mind and we can answer questions on that afterwards. Okay, then we've got just a breakdown showing the hostel portion of the budget. So we keep track of the overall school budget and we keep track of the hostel separately, looking at it like a separate business unit. Just to make sure that things are managed there correctly, so it's not lumped in with everything else. But when we submit a budget to be approved and submitted to the Department of Education, everything is in one, it comes down to one bottom line. So if we look at the hostel, the overall income is just about 3.3 million. That is boarding income of 1.4, other income of 1.1 million, and rent for some of the rooms coming in at 682,000. So personnel rent, so that some of the teachers are renting rooms. That is done at market rates. And then in terms of the expenses for the hostel, there's hostel staff, so their salaries are just over $1 million, it's about 39% of the overall budget. Food costs, about 789,000. The property costs for the hostel buildings, 493,000, and admin expenses of 264,000. So the total expenses at the hostel is 2.5 million. So that, when you add the school budget with the hostel budget, the budgeted income is 17.6 million, and the budgeted expenses is 17.6 million, with wouldn't quite call it a profit, breaking even at 1,600 Rand. Remember, the school is a non-profit organisation, so it's not like we are trying to generate profit, but what fees are coming in, we're allocating it appropriately to spend it in the right places. Okay, in terms of the school fees and pricing, so included in this budget is a 7% increase in school fees. So the overall school fees will be 26,650 for the year. Hostel fees we've kept unchanged at 0%, so that's 36,800 for the year. We have taken away transport to some of the outlying towns, and in light of that, decided to leave the hostel fees unchanged. Parents are going to arrange their own transport. Those parents who are bringing their kids from wider areas. Okay, this is the payment options. I'm not going to go through this in detail, so you would have all been aware of this, the various options you have to pay school fees and the various discounts associated with each option. Okay, so that was a quick run through. Does anyone here have any questions? Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm Roger Barrage, parent, one of my kids at school still. When you opened, you said our attendance here be accepting the budget, am I correct?
Yeah, it is. We need the parents' approval, so we've got parents that are attending online, and then obviously all of you here as the physical attendance. And the goal is to reach agreement and accept the budget as presented.
You also mentioned that we are a non-profit organization, so we don't really make a profit.
Yes.
Because when we look at our town is made up of, I think, 80% unemployed people, and 20% here, I think the few that work, that are professionals, that have jobs, they work at Eskom, and all the state departments that employ these people. So there is a considerable amount of unemployed people university fees, and you look at our school fees, I think sometimes our school fees is higher than the university fees for a year.
No, I disagree.
Well, you can disagree with all you like, but I'm just telling you my opinion as a father. And the other thing is the hostel. It's quite a huge asset to the school,
Yes.
right? And it doesn't make a profit. 1,000 rand or something.
The hostel itself does make a profit. What is the profit portion?
So, your check can just come in there, and the hostel is actually at this stage carrying the school a bit because of the marking center and contract that we have with the government. So if we only work on the school budget, we will actually have a short a deficit on the income, so that there will be an issue. So we're currently using the hostel to accommodate some of the expenditure of the school.
Yeah, there's about a 700,000 rand surplus budgeted for the hostel, which actually covers school expenses.
Yes, all right, fine. I just looked at that quickly, and from what you mentioned earlier on, the profit was showing 1,000 rand.
Yes.
The expenditure. The other thing is that due to the school fees so high, right, there's no extra classes given to the students. We as parents, we have to pay for mathematics extra classes. We have to pay for all extra classes. So that to me is a huge concern, because you can only take us to a certain level, and then you're going to be handing over a lot of parents, and you're going to obviously make the lawyers.
Yeah, and there are extra classes that are given to pupils.
Sorry?
There are extra classes that are given to pupils. It's not the school's, it's actually not their responsibility to give classes after school hours, but they do.
I think my daughter and my son are doing extra classes.
Okay, what
And it's in
subjects?
the afternoon after school.
What subjects are there?
Math and science.
Maths and science.
I know my daughter does accounting extra classes, the science, they have maths.
I'm surprised because we don't get any memos or anything whatsoever. We
It's
have
in
to pay for it.
our books. It's in the diary.
Thank you for telling me. So yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Okay. I think what you can also have a look at, if you look at research, you can go check other schools in the area. These are not high compared to the others. And based on the stats that we have in terms of the subsidies that are given to underprivileged families, so you mentioned you're estimating about 80% unemployed. That is not what we see with the parents that are at our school. Not 80% of them can't pay school fees. There's a very small portion who qualify for a reduction of school fees. Most of the parents, they have an income that can substantiate that they have to pay the school fees, and that is by law. There's a certain calculation that is done. So in terms of what our parent base is, that 80% doesn't hold true. It's a very small percentage.
Okay, so if we don't accept the budget today as parents, so what do we have to do? What document do we have to sign? Because when we attend here, we sign it.
We'll have a show of hands to say who approves and who doesn't, and then we can count. We'll have to check if there's quorum or not as well. But there will be a vote, and then you can approve or disapprove. Okay. Everything addressed on your side, Roger? Okay. Oh, sorry, he was first, the gentleman behind Roger.
Thanks for the presentation, but I just want to register my concern with regard to the attendance. I want to believe that you have a year calendar. That's an advice. You look around the other schools if dates are not clashing. Because I want to believe today most of the parents are down at Pioneer with the concern. So in the future, I request that if there is such a big event, because a budget meeting is a big event. So just look around and check if the dates are not clashing. Secondly, I just want to check how many allocations do we have as a school, teacher allocation. Because if I look at the presentation, the bigger cake goes to salaries. And how does then the institution operate if a bigger portion is directed to salaries and not to service delivery? Thank you.
The school service delivery is teaching, so that is to the teachers, so that's why most of it is going to them. As I said, there's been benchmarking that is done, and our school is under the level of spending that has been benchmarked as normal for schools. So it is expected that most of it will go to salaries, because that is where the service is being provided. In terms of the numbers, we can tell you what is the governing body first. And it's also worked out based on the number of children and how many you need in a class. So we don't want 40 in a class. We try and keep it down to 30. So obviously if you're keeping the classes smaller, you need to have sufficient number of teachers for that. Ricardo's just double checking the numbers there. Marianne, do you know the numbers for how many government teachers there are?
Yes, at this stage, we have, with the principal included, 27 posts from the department and 20 governing body posts.
Okay, for teaching staff, so 27 posts for government teachers and 20 for the teaching staff, and then the governing body also must then employ the admin staff that manage and all the workers on the terrain, so for repairs and maintenance and the hostel staff. Okay, do you need more detail on that?
No, it suffices my concern. But one last thing. I believe there's a system or a policy, I don't know what to call it. There are those parents that can't pay the school fees.
Yes.
And they apply for not paying.
Yes.
How many are they? How is the procedure followed? How do you apply?
Okay.
Because on the presentation, it's not specific.
Yeah.
You are just giving us
Can
a
you-
blanket amount.
The amounts that we budgeted for it. So that is a good question. And last year we appointed new attorneys for assisting with collections of school fees. And part of their service, they vet those forms for us. So they make sure if there's a parent that's claiming that they don't earn an income, so it might be a mother comes forward and says she doesn't have a job, she can't pay school fees. The attorneys go and double check, they check the father as well, they see whether he is earning an income, and a lot of the time these forms are sent in and they're trying to cover it under one parent, but the other parent is earning, and then those get rejected. So there's a very vigorous process that is undertaken, and those forms are rejected if the criteria are not met. So the attorneys are very, very good with checking up on all of that. And they are the ones who are following up on the school fees as well. Before it becomes bad debt, they make sure that the parents are aware that they're being monitored and must pay. I'm just trying to get the figure here for what we budgeted for those. So in the budget so far, there's about 3 million budgeted towards the slide, what we call the sliding scale. So that will be the discounts that are given on school fees for lower earners. What we've seen is that is a budgeted amount. If we can get it in under that, then it's a bonus to the school, and that gets used back within the school. So for the current year, we are running below what the budget was for. So for the 2025 budget, we had a similar amount, but the attorneys that we appointed last year managed to bring that down significantly. So we are running under. I don't know if we can estimate what we think it would be. What was the budget last time?
2.9.
So for 2025, we had budgeted about 2.9 million, so it's a similar amount for those sliding scales. So far, those that have been approved are sitting at about 650,000. So that's about a quarter of, or less than a quarter of what we had budgeted. And I expect it to be the same for the next year. But we play rather on the safe side with that budget. Do you have any more queries on that? Your questions answered?
Yeah, because I wanted maybe an answer that would say for this year, so many applied, so many approved, so many disapproved for
Okay.
whatever reasons.
That we don't have that data on hand. We'd have to extract that because that would be via the attorneys. So I think you'd have to contact via the admin office if you want us to try and get that information for you. Then if you get to Tony Mary and just say you want to get that information, then I can make sure that gets to you. And we should be able to get it from CBJ attorneys. Okay. Yes, ma'am, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, sir. Good evening, and good evening to everyone. All right, thank you for the opportunity. What I want to raise is I do not necessarily approve the 7% increase for the year. So being here for me, it was for me to raise that point to say, we don't have this opportunity to come see. But as much as we got this opportunity, even though I was being sorry for that, I was here to put it there to the school to say, most of the parents we don't agree. How about it be democratic for us to vote as the parents, and you see how many parents approve the yearly increase of the school fees?
Yeah, so that is what this meeting is for. So if there was a discussion and the parents all agree that you don't approve that increase, then we'd have to have a discussion around it and potentially rework the budget. So any decrease in that budget means we'd obviously cut expenses from somewhere else. And we'd be looking at probably maintenance type of things where we're saying, okay, we needed to budget money, for example, painting roofs to keep the buildings in order. Those are the sorts of things that end up having to be delayed if we reduce the school fees. So any change to that percentage will have a knock-on effect to say, what are we going to cut? And then that you'd have to agree on with us. We can't just say we're not going to pay as much school fees, we have to say what are we going to cut from the budget. But we can have that discussion. So that will be part of the process. If we say, are we going to approve or not, then if the parents aren't approving, then we can discuss that. So we'll have a show of hands after the questions.
Say something.
Yes.
Just in regard to the 7%. So, I understand that there's every year when there's stuff, it does make a little bit of a problem to us as leaders as well. But I must also say to you, if you put out the school fees on a monthly basis, it's about 170 rand extra that you're going to pay. Then I must also just mention, we've got increases on basically everything. Everything ranges between 5 to 7% increases. We've got, you've got your photocopy contracts, that's got an increase on every year. Every year that increases. That's just something small. Then we've got your water lights, you've got everything that increases. So in our whole budget, the 7% is not that bad. I must say it's actually better this year than it was last year. We had to put it on to 10%. So when we do come to the 7% increase, you must just keep in mind, bear in mind, everything increases as well. Just before we think about that, then, yeah. Unless someone else wants to say something.
Okay, any other questions? Some online questions. Okay, we've got some some questions coming from parents that are online. So there's someone?
One thing I'm not sure. This budget you shared now, is there a possibility that it could be shared beforehand so that you'll be able to check and maybe it will not consume time as it was now, so that you'll be able just to cover the questions, maybe you'll have similar questions and whatnot. Two, nobody has answered the question regarding the 7% increment. I understand, but then one question, what was the reason for the school fees to increase? And I saw for the hostel, it wasn't increased, and then on the hostel side, your staff, is it only staff strictly for the hostel, or still they are still part of the school as well?
Let's speak about the hostel staff. And we've got staff there that are responsible for maintenance, but they're also used around the school grounds. Then there's staff that are used as cleaners that can be used elsewhere, and we've got cooking staff as well, because there's obviously a lot of meals that have to be prepared. In terms of the budget, it is true that it's a 0% increase for the hostel. The hostel is generating its own profit of 700,000 Rand as what is forecast, which is then being used for the benefit of the school and the learners in the school who are also not part of the hostel. So I don't see there's a problem with not increasing those fees. And as I mentioned, we took away the transport, so reduced those costs as well, which is why we didn't push the fees up for the hostel. Yeah, and we did, during this year we went through a retrenchment process with hostel staff. So we have had a reduction in the number of learners that are in the hostel, and we reassessed how many staff members were needed, and we did have to let some of the staff go. So we're keeping a tight watch on what the salaries are and what the expenses are. Did I miss your first part of the question? The budget beforehand. Yeah, it was available in the office beforehand, and there were parents that went to go and have a look at it. Okay, any other questions? Okay, we've got some questions on there. Maybe I should I bring the microphone in? Can you see them still?
Yeah. This is on my phone. We're still at the 7% increase. The 7%.
Okay. Okay, we've got a Tulisile that's asked, how did you arrive at the 7% increase for the 2026 school fees? So I think Janine has answered that. We work on a cost up basis, so there's drivers for every cost in school. So when you work out the budget, you look at what makes up every expense line. So if it's the photocopier, there's rental fees for the copiers, there's costs for the paper, etc. We look at what we expect those actual costs to be and bring that up to a cost for the year, and we do that for every line item. So it might be the teachers in the maths department require additional teaching resources, then those costs will get added up. All of those get brought together by all the teachers, and it builds up a whole budget, and then we look at what the requirement is going to be. We obviously don't approve every request from every staff member. That all gets vetted by the heads of department, and ultimately gets vetted by the principal, and then it comes to the finance committee, which is myself and Karen as treasurer sitting there. We've got Janine as the financial managers there, and the principal, and we run through. We spent a day here a month ago, where we went through every line, every detail of that budget, and we see how it's built up, and then that then relates into what the school fee increase would need to be. Okay, so that, I trust that question is answered. Now, Walter, your live chat has disappeared. Let me just see if I can find it. comments here.
Our live video died. I'm just going to fix this.
Okay, we might be having some technical difficulties on getting these other questions. Okay. It says the stream ended. Is the stream offline?
It is offline now. I'm just trying to get it back online again.
Okay. Okay, I think we'll try and get that back online and then we can address the questions from the other parents. If you wouldn't mind just giving Walter 2 minutes or so. In the meantime, if there's any more questions, you're welcome.
I wanted to know about the SGB members. Do they get paid?
No, we don't get paid. So we obviously have our own jobs, Cardin and our accountants that we run our own businesses. So when we attend meetings and work on the school, that's all pro bono. We don't take any payment for it. And it's the same for all the governing body members. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, it's not on the budget. I just want to check how are we going to vote with those that are online. How many are they as we speak?
Yeah, so the ones that are online, there's a Google form that is sent out. So they will be able to submit that form with their details. It will say their name and what the student's name is, who's their child obviously, and then they will say whether they approve or not. We can have a quick look through on the spreadsheet that comes through on those forms, and then we'll make an assessment as to whether we have sufficient votes. So there is a requirement in the Schools Act for a certain number of people that need to be present at the meeting. What did we work it out to? Yeah, it has to be 106 people. So as it stands, the people in the room here are not sufficient. We'll have to see how many of those forms come through that we can add to that number. If there's not sufficient, then we must reconvene this meeting again in 2 weeks. If the quorum is not met in 2 weeks, then it's voted on by whoever is present. Okay. Yes?
So at this specific time, you can't tell us how many people are online.
No, we've got some difficulties there at the moment.
We had 51. We're going to get them back now.
Okay.
We had.
There were 51.
So ultimately, the quorum is not met.
Yeah, so it depends if maybe some had come on and left. Actually, what we take as in is if they submit their form with a vote.
I don't think that's fair. Reason being, at this point in time, with the system, the technology, otherwise then we shouldn't be using this technology. It doesn't give us the same amount. Right now, it should tell us if it's 51, then we haven't met the quorum, so we should call for another meeting.
Yeah.
In all fairness. We can't wait for these forms to come in. I don't think that's acceptable. I mean.
Yeah, we can.
Well, we have to wait all the other people.
Sorry?
Where's all the other people? So we have to wait. So we have to do it this way.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to come back again. So no, we have to do it now. I don't want to come back again.
No, I think you must understand the position we're in. So last year I think there was similar turnout, physically present. So there wasn't a quorum at the meeting. We have a struggle with getting the parents here, so we had to make an online option just to try and get the numbers up. It's the difficulty we have to work with, so we're doing everything within our power to try and get the correct number. Okay, we're just trying to get, we have an issue with logging into the sheet for the votes from the other parents, so we can check if there would be quorum or not. So we'll give it another 2 or 3 minutes. If we can't get access there, we can assume that there wasn't quorum and we will have to reconvene in 2 weeks. So Walter's just trying to get that access. Okay, I think at this time we're going to have to postpone. So, unfortunately, we assume that there was at most 51 parents that were on the YouTube live stream, and we wouldn't make quorum. We needed 107 altogether. So we'll reschedule the meeting for 2 weeks' time. There won't be an online portion at that stage. We will hold it in the same venue here. And then it will be a meeting just with whoever is present. There's no quorum for that meeting. The date will be the 12th of November, but we will send notifications out.
I think we have to be considerate as of parents that are not in the vicinity to approve the budget. How do we get those parents? They can't just come for the night, drive through, then drive back at night. I think we have to be considerate of them as well.
So you're suggesting we redo the live stream?
Because there's children in the hospitals. What about their parents?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to be unfair.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, I also see this actually as a very good.
Okay, then we'll arrange that again. Okay. Any other comments or questions from anyone?
Sorry, I just want to say something. I think a 7% increase is against what we get increases on other places. If you take into consideration medical aid, your transport, your fuel that we have every single day, everything in life increases. So it means that whatever we do at school, it increases. The textbook prices went up. The photocopy paper goes up. The electricity goes up. Everything goes up every single year. So a 7% increase against the medical aid increase, which is 16% apparently next year, between 15 and 16, maybe less. But 7%, I think that one must go back home and think that what is the function behind the 7% so that we can take it from there.
We did manage to get feedback on what the forms were, so I thought with the glitch we weren't going to get that through. Our administrator who's running that form, he said there's been 118 submissions on the Google Forms, which then means we do meet the quorum for the budget. Then I think we need to have a vote here with the parents. So I don't know what the result is yet. We'll have to communicate that because we can't access it. So we'll have to go and audit it to see what the actual responses were and make sure that those are all valid. Responses. So we will cross-check every response, make sure it is an actual parent in the school for a valid pupil, and then tally up the votes. And we will give communication as to what the outcome of that is and whether we need to have further discussions on the budget. Can we have a show of hands here who approves the budget as presented? Okay, so we've got... keep your hands up please, I just want to count. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, I've got 14 here. Okay, so we're going to take 14 votes from here. We've got the attendance register for the number of parents that are here, and then we will consolidate that with the online votes. And we have to have a majority of the parents that were online and here have approved. So feedback once we've tallied those votes. Okay. Anything else from any of the parents here?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I must know I teach here, but I'm also a parent. I've been a parent here for a few years now, and it's very disappointing. Every year I come to the same meeting, and every year it's the same story. We have 700, I'm not sure what the precise number, how many learners do we have? 784. 784 learners. And this is the parents we could muster for this evening. What if we did not have the technology? This is a good school. It shouldn't be a nice school, it must be a good school. And it is a good school. And thank you for all of those who decided that it's worth it to come here tonight. But this is unacceptable. The notices were sent out way in advance. And the budget was available. Anyone who had complaints could go and check it. People would have helped them to understand. This is a good school, and to keep this a good school. Not a nice school, a good school. There must be an increase. That's my opinion as a parent. I understand this. I've got 5 children. I've got 5 children. I know what it feels like to play school. And they all want to do sport. They all want to have culture. They all want to partake in all these lessons. They all want to be in a classroom where there's hopefully 30, 35 at the most learners, so that each one of them can get a decent education. Being a teacher myself, it helps me as a teacher to give that individual education. I know what happens in other schools. I'm well aware of it. But this is unacceptable. I think if I count correctly, 29 parents in a school of 780 plus learners. So first of all, thank you. Thank you that you saw your way open to be here tonight. But I think there's a deeper concern here.
Yeah, I mean, if the requirement is only for 10% of the parents are needed for quorum, which means our calculations is over 1,000 parents. So it is, to get 10%, that's a small number of them. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I concur with Mr. Leon 100%. This is not acceptable. It has been a trend ever since. And we need to change as parents. I would request that the school invite parents to come and engage with this matter. Because when they are mostly needed, they are nowhere to be found.
I agree.
Unless we change our attitude, we won't go far. Because the word attitude, if you convert each and every way, each and every letter, it gives you 100%. So if your attitude is 100%, I want to believe everything will be fine. That's my request. Let us call the parents. We engage on this matter. It's not only about the budget. Parents are not attending sports events. Children are doing whatever they want to because parents are not attending. That's my we request parents, we organize a meeting somewhere. We come here and engage with these matters.
Yeah, our difficulty with that, and I agree with you, firstly. So we've got a very important meeting tonight and we couldn't get the parents here, where they're voting for the budget for the school for their children and how their school fees are being used. So I think we need to think of what the strategy would be to try and engage further. My thoughts would be trying to put some information out into the community, whether it's via the school's Facebook page, whether it's the False Risk Community Group, we will look at it as the governing body and see what we can put together to try and get that message across to the parents. And please take ownership and be involved in the school community and be present when there are meetings. And it doesn't even have to be a meeting. You can bring your suggestions at any time. Us as the governing body, we're elected as representatives of the school community as a whole. It's not just for us to come up with all ideas. If there's ideas coming outside from others, then that's things we can consider and help to improve for everyone concerned.
Can I just say something? I know the homework, those bookies. You know, what I do every time a new one comes out, I literally go through each page and say, okay, this is this date. And I write it down in my diaries. There's a lot of communication that comes in those books as well.
Yeah.
So sometimes my diary is filled up for the 6 months, the next 6 months comes and it's filled up, and then I know, that is one of the big communications that is sent out. I mean, each student gets that book. There's SPSs, there's stuff, and I'm going to miss, you have, as a parent, we have to make the time to say, okay, let me see what's happening in school, and say, okay, here, there's extra classes here, there's this meeting, there's this happening, that's where I get myself. I know when the games are happening for sports. I know when it's this thing that's happening. What concerns my child is in that book. So I know as I work at a private school, I know sometimes, and it's frustrating for me from a private school is parents are not looking at their communication, and communication is sent out. So I think it's more the parent side. I know the school is doing a lot on their side. Parents just have to be more involved. That's my honest opinion.
And I think for each of us here, we have the responsibility to communicate that with fellow parents. You all know parents that are not here. You speak to them and say, hey, why are you not getting involved with what's happening with your child's education? That's a message we can all carry across. Okay, Carlin's also just going to have a word.
I also want to ask you, even if we ordered the voters online and it's been approved, the budget is an open thing at the school. It's not something we hide. You are more than welcome to come to the office. We will explain line by line if you need to see that. It's quite an extensive document to put line by line. You will sit here for 8 hours because that's how long it took us to go through the budget. But I invite anyone that needs information on the budget. You are really more than welcome. You will see we have actually big plans, but it's reliant on the payment that we receive from the parents. We can't do all these nice things. We've planned tablets for the children, for extra reading and math classes to assist in, because we know the reading and the maths are not good when they come from the primary schools. We want to encourage the children to put more effort in, but we can't do it if we don't put that 7% extra on the school funds. We can't do it if the parents don't pay the school funds. So it's really important, so you can really be sure that we don't waste money. We can really show each and every cent that you pay when we put the money to. You will see next year we host quite a lot of events that's been hosted at our school. We want to be proud if we go to the sport to say, listen, there's not something that's been rusted, it was painted during the year. We want to be proud to say, listen, we're part of this school. We don't want a school that don't do maintenance. So please, I really invite anybody that needs to see information, because I can really supply anything to you. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Carter.
Good evening, parents. I'm Mrs. Pringle. I'm the deputy principal here at school. Unfortunately, it was not possible for the principal to be here tonight. I just want to say from my side, I'm not working with any finances, but both of these two people here, they are both accountants, so I think they have some ethics as well. And as Karen said, the books are open books. So please feel free to come and check anytime or to come and ask anytime anything. If the principal is not available, I'm always here at school, so you are welcome to come and talk to me as well. And then please ask your questions. And I know that with this technology and how many people is going to vote tonight, some of us don't feel comfortable with it, but I really think that that will also be audited and that you can also come and have a look at that no matter what the outcome will be. And just remember, we are always here and everything is an open book. Thank you for attending tonight.
Thanks, Vivian. Based on that, I think we can close. Thank you for everyone that has attended.